I'm Liz Scuff, and welcome to this exploration called Cultural. I do it every time. Collaborative Learning for Cultural Repair. This little video is on the topic of beauty and adornment, and I think this is a super interesting topic, but it's also really interesting to me as an example of a way into thinking about cultural repair. And what I mean by that is it's such a broad, amorphous, subjective topic that sort of trying to work out what does it mean is maybe sometimes the wrong question, or not the most useful question. But just to look around at what are the things that interest you in your culture, or you find yourself participating in, but you also have a critique of, or things about the culture that you kind of are very critical or judgmental of, and then getting curious and interested about what are the roots of that thing in this that looks like it's problematic in the culture now, but that maybe has like roots that weren't so problematic. And I think beauty and adornment is a really great example of that. So we could say Western culture these days, things around beauty and adornment have it's become very specific about what is considered beautiful, and it's now very sort of superficial terrain in a lot of ways. So we've left behind the deep power and meaning of adornment and amplifying and appreciating beauty. And so then it's very easy to critique it because we're kind of missing the substance of it. So I'll come back to that in a bit, but I guess I'll say a few things. I'm going to talk about beauty and adornment literally, but it's also symbolic. Some of the things we're going to be talking about, adornment can be thought of as literally, putting things on the body or on anything to amplify something or to protect something or to bring more awareness to something, or to deepen meaning in something. But it can also be symbolic, or it can be like a process as well. The adornment is a process rather than just a sort of single act, and not just something that we do externally, but how do we adorn our consciousness or adorn our psyche. So, and to think about adornment as literally enhancing people's power and skills, and literally protecting people and non-human people as well, right? So we're not the only adorners in the world. So early adornment practices in humans are sort of traced back to using shells and animal parts, teeth particularly, to create very elaborate pieces that people would wear, that it was the effort over time to create the thing that was as much, was just as important as the thing that was being created. And of course, generally we've lost that a lot in Western culture. Not a lot of people make their own adornments. They don't spend the time, and often what is meditative time, repetitive practices and skill building to do that. And that's okay in some ways, but the process of creating items of adornment could also be said to be a way in which we are adorning our own psyche. They're meditative, they're skill building, they take patience, they take discipline. If you're out having to gather the materials, there's a whole process about how you are out in the world and how you are out interacting with other beings. And so the process of adornment is an integrated process in life and pulls on many things. So now when we go and just kind of buy stuff from somewhere that's been made in some factory or blah blah, it's like we've missed out on all the richness of how adornment is like so deeply integrated. I'm not saying that you have to do that to also really deeply live adornment, but it's just noticing, if we're not making those things, how else can we bring depth and meaning to a process of adornment? So that's one thing I guess I think about when I'm thinking about adornment as a modern process. The other thing I think about is when I think about beauty, and that is about how different ways we construct beauty, or we attribute beauty, that we say this is beautiful, this isn't, sets us outside of nature. And this is, I think, a big problem in our culture, Western culture, not all cultures, Western culture, is that we have exceptionalized humans out of nature as if we're not part of it. And we've exceptionalized culture out of nature as if culture and nature are different things. And so one way I think about that is like, I love nature. I think nature's beautiful, like everything. The birds, the trees, the fungus, the things that are dying, there's like I see a beauty in everything, right? But then if I turn to look at myself and go, yeah, but you're not beautiful. I've just exceptionalized myself out of nature, because I don't sit there looking at a bird just going, well, you know, you got a little bit of a thing there, and I don't know, you know, really? But we do it to ourselves because we don't see ourselves as nature and therefore just inherently beautiful. Now, some people don't experience nature as beautiful, and if that's you, I'm not sure why you're watching the video. Maybe it's not going to be so useful. Maybe it is. But I think there is a way in which our criticism, our self-criticism, separates us out of nature and inability for self-acceptance, right? And that is culturally taught for deliberate purposes, which are probably covered in some videos as well, right? But there is a lot to be gained for some sectors of societies, for the rest of society to feel very self-critical. And so I think that kind of cultural repair work around working on your own internalized rejection of self and of your own humanity and your own divine worth or your own self-worth, whatever that is, I think that's really important work, and I think it ties into these processes of beauty and adornment, not especially if, you know, some people are considered more beautiful by mainstream standards than others, and there are different consequences of cost of adorning yourself depending on whether you kind of fit in that, you know, that's a beautiful person or that's not so beautiful, and different accusations that come at us when we adorn, or different attentions and unwanted attentions that can come at adornment. And I think there is a way in which we're in a cultural double bind, right? We're kind of told to make ourselves more beautiful and blah, 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 and aspiring to all the crazy things we do for it, right? And then also you get attacked if you try to do it too. So I think there's like a no-win situation around this. And I think the way out of it is to follow a deep inner process around adornment and what that kind of actually means for you, not what the culture says is adornment or beauty. So spending time and being in a process of getting in contact with your own experience of what beauty means for you, how that manifests through you and how you would express it and bring that into the world. I think that's the way out of the double bind, is that you self-validate from your own deep process as just another part of this world that is manifesting beauty all over the place in lots of different ways. And so I think that's a way kind of out of those that double bind of being pushed and rejected culturally around adornment, is to not be so referenced to the cultural standards of it. Easier said than done, of course. Now this other thing it's a little bit all over the shop. Sorry, I did make some notes about it, but I didn't think about the order. I think the other thing I wanted to say about it that I'm thinking a lot about at the moment is how when the superficiality of adornment and beauty practices and attitudes and cultural ways of being in Western culture makes it easy to really criticize it and to think it's about vanity, it's about competition, it's about dominating others by, you know, demonstrating privilege. Because we've lost the substance and meaning of it, right? The Western culture, I know this kind of goes back a long way, right? But we've got this dominant narrative around trying to make our lives easy and trying to be happy all the time, which I think is really screwing us up. And that in this kind of, you know, things should be easy and I should be happy all the time, we have really stripped the meaning and substance out of our culture. And I think that's the same in adornment, right? Like it's easy to go get this thing to put on myself. And that's going to give me a quick moment of happiness, the dopamine hit we get with a new shiny object, right? But the slaving away, well, I shouldn't say slaving, sorry, it's a bad way. But the effort, the sustained effort to learn how to make a thing of adornment also, as I said before, adorns the psyche, creates new capacities and richness within our systems and also it's going to filter out into other ways in which, you know, you learnt to make the thing of somebody else who knows how to make the thing. You got the materials from here and da da da. You know, like it's part of a network as well. So I think there's a way in which we can build meaning back into processes of adornment and beauty when we really stay close to our own inner process relative to it. And then we can move beyond it feeling like it's a vanity or it's a competition, or that it's excluding others, or that it's dictating a certain kind of standard of what beauty looks like, or a certain kind of idea about acceptable adornment. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about this. I think it's a really provoking topic and there's lots in it, so I guess I'm hoping that the video has been helpful in helping you think a little bit about the process as well, and how that may or may not be kind of relevant in your life. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I just think it's very interesting, and it's something I'm going to keep exploring a lot too. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.